Plastic is all around us. It protects the houses we live in, allows for the innovation of space travel, and most recognizably, surrounds or at some point touches nearly every food and beverage we consume on a daily basis. Unfortunately, however, all good things have their limits. According to the United Nations, after climate change, plastic pollution has emerged as the second most dire threat to the global environment. Plastic packaging for food and beverages, in particular, contributes to this problem heavily. In addition, the plastics industry is incredibly carbon intensive and produces 4 times more greenhouse gas emissions than even the airline industry. But how did we get this way? In the early 1900s, the first synthetic plastic, known as Bakelite, was invented and patented. The main material involved in creating it was fossil fuels, which were much in abundance. Due to the sudden ability to easily produce synthetic plastic, demand for natural plastic, which is much more expensive, difficult to find, and limited in supply, decreased, allowing for the rise in cheaper, more durable consumer goods. At first, plastic-based goods were mainly advertised to consumers as being reusable and long-lasting. Ads that aired demonstrated examples such as how, unlike a glass container, you could drop a plastic one and it wouldn't break. Companies believed that qualities such as this would be ideal for families with accident-prone children or even just clumsy individuals. Later in the 1950s, however, this tactic began to shift. Companies realized that if they truly wanted to boost sales and increase revenue, rather than market their plastic goods as durable and therefore valuable, they needed to promote it as cheap and expendable instead. As said by Lloyd Stuffer, an influential trade magazine editor and advocate for this shift in 1956, the future of plastics is in the trash can. While it was difficult at first to get consumers to shift over to the idea of throwing away a perfectly good item after one use, it wasn't impossible. Emphasizing the idea that plastic is cheap and there's more where it came from created a reinforcing feedback loop where companies knew marketing of plastic packaging to consumers worked, resulting in customers starting to buy and use plastic packaging more, then leading to increased revenue for the companies and therefore more plastic packaging marketing and integration to reach and convert even more consumers. As a result, this has led to the creation of today's throwaway society, with over 8.3 billion metric tons of plastic being produced since the 1950s in order to keep up with demand for it. While the production of said plastics brought much convenience and innovation to our world, it has also released much greenhouse gases over its lifetime, worsening the effects of climate change and the impact on our world and quality of life. The food and beverage industry has been one of the main primary channels that companies have utilized for promoting and distributing single-use plastics, with it making up about 36% of all produced plastics. Think about it. The coffee you get from Dunkin's on your way to work, the strawberries you picked up from the grocery store, or even the bag of chips that you packed in your bag. They all come packaged in plastic. And, without fail, you're more likely to throw the container away after eating or drinking rather than save it for later use. Keep in mind that only around 4% of plastic in the US is recycled, and less than 10% of plastic is recycled globally. Unfortunately, when not recycled, one-time use plastic packaging from food and beverages has an even greater potential to affect human health. For example, Lake Erie, who provides drinking water for over 11 million people, currently faces a huge plastic pollution problem. The lake's rougher waters causes plastic debris, such as Pepsi bottles, that has been emptied into the lake to break down into microplastics. These microplastics, when broken down, find their way into our food systems, for instance, through fish that have congested them and food or beverages produced using contaminated water. In addition, when humans ingest these microplastics, there's also a high chance that they're ingesting the chemicals that produce them. Consumption of these chemicals long-term can lead to a myriad of health issues, including cancer, weakened immune systems, and infertility. This brings to light that not only is the production and consumption of throwaway culture harmful to the environment for the fossil fuels and energy it uses, but also directly to human health. Our food and beverages are not only packaged in plastic, but unknowingly made with it too. So, what can we do to change throwaway culture? A leverage point for change that I propose would be implementing tactics to shift away from the paradigm of, oh, plastic is cheap and abundant, so it's okay to use it briefly and throw it away, to, there are a lot of hidden consequences to using one-time use plastic packaging, especially when it comes to food and beverage, so let's try to use it less. If you have a reusable water bottle, one behavior change you could make is making sure you actually use it. It's estimated that Americans purchase about 50 billion water bottles per year, averaging about 13 bottles per month for every person in the US. This is a lot. As college students, we're always on the go from classes to clubs, and it's incredibly important to stay hydrated. Unfortunately, however, when rushing in the morning to get ready and get to where you need to be, it is easy to forget to bring your reusable water bottle with you. As a result, you end up buying or drinking a bottled beverage for one-time use when out and about, which ultimately defeats the purpose of having a reusable water bottle in the first place. So, implementing simple tactics such as putting a sticky note next to your phone charger or setting a bedtime phone reminder can nudge you to remember the impact of a single-use plastic water bottle and how it can take up to 500 years for it to decompose, through reminding you to fill up your water bottle and pack it in the bag you plan to use the next morning. Over time, this can help you shift from System 1 thinking habits, where forgetting your reusable water bottle leads to buying a one-time use bottle because it's convenient, to a more System 2 thinking habit, where you make the conscious effort to fill and pack your reusable water bottle the night before, helping create long-term sustainable change in your habits. Given how established our current norms and systems for food and beverage packaging is, it is quite difficult to avoid single-use plastic packaging altogether. However, by making this small, simple behavior change in your daily routine, you can reduce your plastic bottle consumption on average by 156 bottles per year. If you're successful, you can then go on to encourage friends and family to adopt and share similar tactics, making your small change create an even bigger impact, helping less bottles end up in places such as Lake Erie and less demand to create them through their carbon-intensive processes. So, my fellow college students, even though it may not feel like much, let's encourage ourselves and others to move away from the ease and convenience of throwaway culture, one water bottle at a time. It only takes 2 extra minutes of effort, which most of us spend on our phones anyways.